the series has been reinventing the city, really with an eye to greening the city. First in the series was called Greening the Glass Box, and looked at corporate headquarters and retrofitting them. The idea is that, and the museum has looked over these past 3 years now in a lecture series about sustainability, but the idea of this series is to think about recycling the city, reinventing it with new uses, while following the principles of sustainability. This particular evening is a little different than the focus where we've been especially focused on LEED standards and various kinds of sustainability and high-performance building issues. And indeed, this is the first time that we've looked at relatively low-rise buildings rather than high-rise buildings. But we thought it was particularly appropriate to think in this series in particular about reinventing the city from the developer's perspective and from the architect's perspective. And so we have two teams of architects and developers who are going to give us background. I'm going to give a quick overview, and then what we're going to do is have the teams come up and sit at the table and present on the screen in the background the projects for 25 Bond Street and 48 Bond Street. And then our moderator, Justin Davidson, will talk a little bit about 40 Bond Street, which he has reviewed recently in New York Magazine, and then have a general discussion about the issues of invention on the street, about the history of the street, and indeed the most recent development is that this particular block of Bond Street has been proposed, it's calendared for the extension of the historic district. The NoHo historic district, you'll see in the maps shortly, is on the west and on the south of Bond Street, where it just cuts off. And the original Bond Street was not included in the first designation hearings. It's actually the first and the second of these districts, because much of it had vacant lots, it had open spaces, and these projects that we'll see tonight fill some of those missing teeth, the vacant lots in the old Bond Street.